Looking for a way to make a statement without saying a word? Shop I Am All Things Clothier, the brand that lets your wardrobe do the talking. Our shirts aren't just clothing, they're bold declarations of who you are and where you're going. Whether you're crushing your goals, embracing self love, or simply looking to inspire, our designs keep you focused and stylish. So why just wear a shirt when you can wear your mindset? Visit IamEX313.com and choose the shirt that speaks to your journey today because you're more than just one thing. You're everything that you speak. Your circle will change as you accomplish your goals and level up. Everybody can't go.
And we live. Welcome to another Everybody Can't Go Convo. I'm your host, Jessi Holley. And tonight we're going to get into this November. Okay. So, a quote that popped up for me that I'm like, I'm sure you all can share in the sentiment. We're not even going to talk about the drama of today. We're not going to talk about it. We're going to that. I'm like, oh, yes, that is good, especially as we begin to move into, we are at the end of the year. It's the fourth quarter. And we are quickly transitioning into the holiday season. So we just got done with Halloween, an election, daylight savings time, all of this stuff that was just back to back to back to back. And now we're moving into, we have Veterans Day coming up next week. And then before you know it, Thanksgiving is going to be knocking at your door. And Thanksgiving isn't just Thanksgiving Day, it's all of the preparation that you and or your family takes getting up to that day. So, and once it's Thanksgiving and Black Friday, Christmas is like 16 hours later. So here are some things that I want you guys to keep in mind and remember as some of us are not feeling so great about the things that have transpired over the past 24 hours, but also as we look forward to what we will have coming up in the next 2 months and making sure that we are prepared for what's coming up and how we will handle the next couple of months as we move into the holiday season. So the quote says, November, a time to say no to people, places, and things that drain your energy. So we're thinking about those three things: people, places, and things that will drain your energy. That is something very easy to lose sight of during the holiday season, especially when you aren't prepared, you haven't pre-thought about it, and you don't have a plan so that you can keep yourself in maybe not tip-top shape, but at least keep yourself afloat and on the more positive side of neutral if and when you can. So, first thing, people, y'all already know. It's right there in the back. I got it highlighted hot pink so you can't miss it. Everybody can't go. You know this. We talk about it all the time, every episode. So when you're looking at saying no to people during November and possibly even going towards the new year, you do need to take a look at and think about some of the situations that you can kind of get a good jump on with being able to set some clear boundaries there and or just completely decide that you aren't going to deal with certain folks because of previous behavior. So, what am I talking about? Sometimes we have that problem with a handful of coworkers, that one person that their holiday time off is just always more important than yours, your bosses, anyone else's. And maybe you know that you would like to travel this holiday season and you don't want to get bumped. And when I say you don't want to get bumped, I mean you don't want to get bumped off of the PTO list because you'd like to take some extra days. Or look, y'all, make sure that you check. Look at your PTO hours, because if it's use it or lose it, you better use it. Don't give that back. Do not give that time back. That time is money and it belongs to you. So if you were entitled to it and you're going to lose it as of December 3rd, go ahead and look at the calendar. and put your requests in, even if it's just to take a day off here and there for you to do nothing. You are entitled to that time. So there may be some boundaries or different conversations that you may need to have at work so that you can prepare moving through the end of this year. There may be some coworkers that you have to pre-think about that you are not going to go ham. You are not going to respond in the same way that they may be unkind to you, but there may be some situations or things that have come up in your workplace the same way that holiday time can be stressful outside of work. All of that stress, everybody brings that to work. Whether that is brings it to work online on that computer, and people's patience is a little bit shorter. And sometimes tempers can flare a bit, or you're going into the office, or God bless you if you are a part of the holiday season frontline people that you guys are taking care of us. I'm not just talking about nurses, doctors, all of our healthcare professionals, and civic service people. It is darn near a civic service, and my heart goes out to you all. Those of you who serve us during the holiday season. I won't even get into that, but why not? Because it's a part of the people. Is it going to stress you out to go holiday shopping? Is it going to stress you out to be in places with people who are also like you, consuming and being consumers, being customers that may or may not be so nice to those who are servicing us? I can say that for myself, that is something that I do actually keep in mind. When it's time for me and BFF, me and the fiance, me and whomever, or even if I'm going out shopping alone, do I have the mental capacity and do I feel like peopling? Do I feel like dealing with these people when I get out here? Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. And when it's a time that I don't feel like dealing with those people or dealing with some of the situations that I may run into, just me being disturbed at the way that people are being treated, our service people are being treated. If I don't have the energy or capacity to stay positive, be that person to, let's be kind to our service people. If I feel like, you know what, somebody gonna say one wrong thing to these people who are overworked, underpaid, and trying to help us to do things for our families, and I'm like, no, don't do that. I should probably stay home. I should probably stay home. And if I don't have that option, if you don't have that option, make sure that you get mentally prepared before you leave the house, before you get out of your car, before you step into that mall, that grocery store, wherever, because we're all dealing with that holiday stress. But let's be a part of that amazing few that we aren't dealing with that holiday stress or those feelings of anxiety leading up to the holidays, because we are getting prepared for all of the things that are to come over the next 7 to 8 weeks that we have left of this year. So back to saying no to the people that you need to say no to. There may be some family expectations that you may need to say no to if you have too much on your plate. This includes your friends as well, or taking on additional projects at work or with your peers. You will have to say no to some of the extra favors that usually you would have time to do, usually you would have the capacity to do. The heart for you to do it, it won't change, but you do need to make sure that you have a buffer in there. Don't say yes to everything. You may not have the same capacity that you usually have during the rest of the year. So make sure that you pay attention to that when you are agreeing to a lot of invites, when you're agreeing to help someone else out, when you're agreeing to finishing a task or project, or any of the things that you may usually do for other people or that you would normally say yes. Make sure that your schedule can allow for it, and make sure that you have the capacity to handle it. And I mean both mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually. Make sure that you aren't overextending yourself. And sometimes, dare I say it, you don't have to be on every committee at church. I know a lot of stuff is coming up for the holiday season. We have pantries, we have food drives, we have clothing drives, we have gift drives, we have a lot of community service and philanthropy to do during this time. Make sure that you are not overextending yourself, and or if you need to choose, You choose which of those activities will leave you more fulfilled. If you have to choose between doing that extra thing for a project at work or going to the soup kitchen on Saturday because you only have that one chunk of time that you're able to do something, which one would you rather do? And I will also say, don't feel bad about your choice. If you would rather go to serve the underserved, if you would rather do that soup kitchen run and spend time with your church family, spend time with your friends, your sorority, your fraternity, whatever service organization that you're a part of, if you would rather spend time serving in that capacity, that is okay. The project can wait. Those other people can wait. Some of the other tasks that you may have on your list, those things can wait. So make sure that even when you are choosing how you will serve and give to others, and that's a part of you refilling your cup, make sure that you're choosing the activities and the service that will be most beneficial to you in terms of giving you that feel good, giving you that sense of accomplishment, and actually being able to affect some change out here in the world, in these streets, as it gets a little colder, as it gets darker earlier. And make sure that you're not neglecting the causes that are near and dear to your heart in favor of there's just somebody in front of you that's asking for something like, oh, hey, actually, could you pick up such and such from the store? Actually, we had somebody drop off of the committee. Can you do it? Can you? That's one question. Should you and do you have capacity? Those are the questions that you need to stop, take a gander, and ask yourself. So if you need to, just let folks know, you know what? Let me check my schedule and I'll get back to you so that you can be sure that you aren't saying yes, yes, yes to some people that you should be saying no to and to some tasks or events or projects or just all of the things that you may need to say no to. And so next up, we're going to talk about places, the places that you need to say no to. And I'm not going to tell you, say no to the club, say no to those dates with that man or that woman. No, I really want you to dig deep and think about some of the places that you may better serve yourself by foregoing or being absent from those places, at least for a period of time. So, any places that could cause you to be anxious, if, like I talked about, all of those invites, everybody wants you to come to their holiday party. Do you really need to make 4 stops in a day? Do you really need to make every party? Do you really need to do back to back events on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday because you're trying to make all of your rounds and support everyone? While that may be possible for you to do, and of course, guilty, I've done it, do it often, but I do make sure that I write those things out on my calendar. And if I have a full day of supporting others, I do make sure to allot for self-care time where I'm literally doing nothing. I'm not preparing content for you guys. I'm not worried about the book. I'm not writing. I'm not scrolling. I'm not doing anything. I am sitting quietly, sometimes watching mindless television, or I just sit in my chase. I just sit there and listen to the air conditioner. And is the air conditioner loud? No. But that's literally, I just listen to the air blowing and allow myself to actually relax. Sometimes I go ahead and schedule myself a massage, schedule you a nail appointment, a pedi. If it's your happy time to go get yourself a treat. I needed a treat yesterday. After I did my civic duty, I made sure to take myself to Starbucks. Plan those small things in there. Remember, self-care doesn't have to be expensive and it's not a luxury. Get that worked in there and make sure that you aren't in all of these places for everybody else and not taking the time to be in places for yourself. So take note of if you're tired. If you're tired and there's somewhere for you to go, do you really need to be there? Do you? I know sometimes we have to suck it up. But remember how I talked about that PT places that you don't need to go and say no to in November. If you have those PTO hours, say no to going to work. Use your vacation time. Use those hours if you need to. And if you don't already have vacation planned that you're using those hours for, if the place that you need to say no to is work, make sure that you have your hours allotted out. Take a look at your calendar for the next 2 to 6 months and go ahead and take those days. Take that time. Take it to yourself. And don't take that time so that you can clean up the house for the holidays. Take that time so that you can do some self-care. And who knows, for you, self-care could be getting the house together. You may take joy in that. And that may be something that you need to do to fill your cup. I get it. But just make sure that you're doing something for you. And also, I'm talking about those places where you could be anxious. Sometimes we say yes just because it's something that we're quote unquote supposed to do or somewhere we're supposed to be. If there is an event, a party, a dinner, something that you really don't want to go, it's okay to say no. And remember, no is a complete sentence. Shout out to Melty. No is a complete sentence. You don't have to explain that you don't want to go because you're exhausted, or maybe you just don't want to see that one creepy uncle or something. Who knows? But if you don't want to go, it's okay. No is a complete sentence. You can exercise that and don't forget it. And also, like, if you are just tired, you are over it. Are you actually tired or are you exhausted? That part, you don't have to give explanation to anyone else about that either. If you're exhausted and you really need to take some time for yourself, take that time for yourself. A lot of the things that we take on and put onto our plate when it comes to people and places to be, especially during this time, it's only going downhill from here for the rest of the year with overextending ourselves with people, places, and things that it's okay to say no to it and to politely bow out, and you can make other arrangements, possibly send a text message, send a card ahead of time, send a small gift in the mail or something like that. If you already know that you are running low or running on fumes, it may be a good time to consider declining or sending something in lieu of your actual presence in some of these places if you aren't ready to venture out, be there, make all of these appointments of sorts. It's okay to say no. Now, will that upset some folks? Of course, yes. People will miss you. Some people will, well, you're supposed to be here. It's a tradition. How dare you not show up? What does that look like for the company? Well, one thing to think about, what does it look like for you if you are too tired, too exhausted, too beyond your capacity to show up and be the best version of you? Or just look at it this way. If you're showing up to these places as a shell of yourself, what good is that for you to be there as a shell of yourself? Because you're overtired, because you're exhausted. And do remember, if you are doing just fine, make sure that you keep some of these things in mind, and any of the notes that you take, make sure that you stay in that tip top shape or you stay just fine through the end of this year by being sure to mind that schedule and mind your self care so that you are able to show up for people and show up in these places in the ways that you are able to. But we want you guys to be empowered with, like, just it's okay to say no. It's okay. And that's a complete sentence. And I'm not going to stop reminding you guys of that, because that is one thing that is very, very easy for us to forget. Very easy to forget. All right. And then the last thing, all of the things, all of the things, all of the things to keep the happy in your holiday. Make sure that you aren't focused on all of the things that are supposed to be a part of the holiday season. It's okay to create new traditions. If it's whether it's a financial burden, a mental burden, emotional burden, spiritual burden. When we're looking at Veterans Day, we're looking at Thanksgiving, we're looking at Black Friday, we're looking at the holiday season, going into Christmas, New Year's, all of these different holidays and things that we have back to back. When you're looking at hosting, throwing parties, attending events, attending dinners, buying new outfits for all of those things, bringing a gift to every person that's going to be there when you get into the door, making sure that you always have a bottle of door wine when you show up to 4 different homes on Thanksgiving, or being a volunteer at the Veterans Day luncheon. All of these different things that you may have on your schedule, or things that you'd like to do, things that involve just spending and costs that you may or may not have put into your budget. If it's not in your budget, make sure that you decide that you're not going to overspend. Pay attention to what it is that you're doing, and pay attention to all of the other ancillary costs of doing all of these things. Now, part of those ancillary costs, we aren't just talking about your bank account, credit accounts, and finances. Look at the cost of your energy, the cost of your time, and the cost of what you may need to be doing with your time when you're allotting it to all of these other things, people, places, shopping, all of this other stuff. If there is something that you need to be doing that is a better use of your time, that you are needing to get on, if you're breaking your routine too much, if that task list continues to get longer and longer and longer, and you know that there are times where you're like, I promised I would be at this place at this time to do this insert thing that you really don't need to do, but you have this super long task list or pile of post-its. That's me. The pile of post-its on the side of your desk, or you have all of these things that you're starting to neglect for yourself, your home, and your immediate family, those in your home. Start to make sure that you aren't so lost in all of the things surrounding all of these holidays that you lose sight and start to get a bit off track. And finally, I would like to remind you guys, as a part of those things, mind your consumption. Mind your consumption with how much social media time you're spending. It's always easy to overindulge during the holidays, food, drink, any of your vices. You know these things. But I'd like for you to be extra mindful in how you are consuming that social media, especially with the barrage of stressful things that we've seen over the past week or so, and just coming to a great climax last night and into today. Just the constant scrolling and the constant intake of some of these things that may be upsetting to you. You have to be mindful of that. Some of these things, it's surface level. Some of it is piercing your subconscious. That includes all of these holiday commercials, things that are meant to tug on your emotions and your heartstrings. Be mindful of the media that you are consuming, because it can start to change your mood. Don't watch a holiday movie. Don't watch 5 holiday movies back to back about romance and love and dot dot dot, and you were just fine. You were just fine before you watched 7 holiday heart videos or movies or whatever, and now all of a sudden you're like, I hate the holidays because I'm single. No, you don't. What were you watching that made you think such a thing? And pay attention to what it is that you're watching. Pay attention to what it is that you're looking at when you're scrolling. Pay attention to how you're feeling when you're seeing some of these commercials, some of these ads, and all of these different ideas of what your holiday should look like, what you should be like, what tradition should look like. You get to choose those things for yourself. And ultimately, you can bring some of your new ideas to your family. You can start new traditions, and there can be new things that you guys start to implement together. Something very fun for me and my family, we started to go on, like, do a roundtable each holiday. We'll send in the family chat like, hey, this year let's try this at dinner, or let's have a game night. Let's do a white elephant this year. It doesn't have to be the exact same thing every single year. You can be that change maker. Send the idea out there and see if anyone else wants to try something new or fun. If it's something as simple as a card game, or you want to bring a new game to the mix, want to bring a new dessert to the mix, something like that, just bring it. Just bring it and introduce the idea and see if you have any takers. You never know. Sometimes folks just haven't thought about it, and you may actually end up, you could just have a load of fun. You could just have a load of fun with some of the new things, new ideas that you're able to bring to some of these events, dinners, spaces, creating new traditions and things of that sort. And then finally, just make sure that you are saying yes to you. You do get a few days off. We have some holiday days off. You don't have to fill every hour of those off days with doing things for people, going to a bunch of different places, doing all of the things. Sometimes saying yes to you just involves doing absolutely nothing so that you can get that rest, so that you can recharge, and so that you can be in the best tip top shape that you possibly can be, so that you're able to go out into the world being the best version of you that you can, not only for yourself, but when you're the best you that you can be for yourself, that makes you the best you that you can be for everybody else that you are so worried about. So if you need to replay this, go ahead and run it back. And we will continue to talk about this. And I'm going to continue to remind you guys of a lot of these different things. And we'll take some deeper dives as we move closer into some of the more holiday-ish holidays, the big ones, Thanksgiving, Christmas. A lot of times we forget about New Year's and New Year's. We forget about the New Year, New Year's Eve and New Year's Day, and we forget about the Veterans Day holiday, which can be heavy for some who are around us. And a special thank you to any of our veterans who have served. If I started to shout you guys out by name, we would be here for so long. So just know, if you are one of the veterans in my life, I do thank you from the bottom of my heart. You did something that I didn't even volunteer to try to do, because I know I wouldn't have done it right. I would have messed it up. And that's why I have such a great respect for all of you who have served and who are currently serving actively, both at home and abroad. And thank you for that. So remember, all of those vets in your life, make sure that you go ahead and send them a care package if they're overseas. Go ahead and send them a nice text message, give them a call. If you have the emotional, mental capacity to do so, and you can fit it into your schedule, go ahead and spread a little love if you're able to. And we will see you guys next week for another Everybody Can Go Convo. Stay tuned for a word from our sponsors.
Calling all Gen X women writers. Do you have a book inside of you just waiting to be written? It's time to stop sitting on that dream and start smiling at your completed manuscript. Join us for an unforgettable, fully immersive weekend retreat designed to take you from stuck to published. From March 14th through 16th, 2025, at a luxurious retreat home in Orlando, Florida, you'll be guided step by step by best selling authors, experienced publishers, and your writing coach, Melissa T, who's authored 8 books and helped countless writers become bestsellers. This is your chance to unshackle the story that's been living inside of you for months or even years and release your voice to the world. Because when you share your words, you change lives one page at a time. Secure your spot today and get ready to write the book you were born to create. Save your spot now. Click the link below.